Hi guys, today's like goal is 10 likes. Let's start. Lan's focus was fixed on Lu Shang, and his eyes widened with intrigue. His device for measuring strength indicated that Lu Shang possessed an extraordinary combat value of 135 points. Yet he remained at level 9. Lan wondered, since when the Crimson Eye pirate clan had members of such caliber, leading him to assume he must be a newcomer. His eyes sparkled with fury, and his body was enveloped in golden martial energy. Lu Shang clenched his fists tightly and stared silently at Lan. Lu Shang's aura flared, and flames shot toward Lan, ready to strike. Seeing this, Lan activated his power, causing azure martial energy to swirl around him. He reached up to touch his mask, a grin spreading across his face. He was astonished to see that Lu Shang's combat value had already exceeded 1,000 points. To him, it was an astonishing fact that someone of only level 9 could attain such star power. With this realization, he was no longer surprised that Crimson Eye had recruited him. Surrounded by flames, Lu Shang advanced rapidly toward Lan, intent on ending him. Lan stood motionless, observing in silence. Several seconds later, his eyes widened in shock. He couldn't believe that Lu Shang's combat value had surpassed 10,000. To his greatest amazement, he noticed the figure kept climbing closer and closer. The device continued, calculating Lu Shang's strength, jumping from 10,000 to 40,000, leaving Lan speechless. Moments later, it reached 50,000, and shortly after, Lan's mask began to fracture as Lu Shang's combat value soared past 90,000 star points. His mask shattered into fragments, revealing his true Faisa scar adorned his eye. His attention remained fixed on Lu Shang, and his mind was flooded with confusion and astonishment. He was clueless about what was happening or who he truly was. The device calculating Lu Shang's strength started malfunctioning, with several windows popping up, reporting system failures. At that moment, Lu Shang appeared before Lan. His eyes blazed with fury as he fixed his gaze on him with a murderous intent, ready to attack. Lan lifted his head, panic rising within him at the sight. Recognizing the danger, he couldn't help but panic, an angry expression on his face. He wondered what kind of joke this was. He couldn't believe that someone possessed power beyond the evaluation limit, surpassing 10,000 points while only being level 9. It was utterly absurd. Lu Shang leaped and concentrated his energy, eyes shining brightly. He decided to invoke the ancient fist technique from the 5th era, called the Heavenly and Earthly Furnace, summoning a blazing sun behind him. Lan froze in terror, having never witnessed such a formidable technique before. Lu Shang's eyes began to glow with rage. Since Lan had destroyed his spaceship, he knew he had to pay. Soon after, Lu Shang's form transformed into a mighty fire phoenix, flapping its wings and roaring. Lan's attention was drawn to it, and his mind was filled with awe. He refused to stand idly by. As his body emanated martial energy, he drew his sword. Just as Lu Shang's fist was about to strike, Lan swung his sword to block the blow. Lu Shang chose not to hold back, exerting all his strength. Lan held his ground and managed to deflect the attack. The fight grew so intense that a wave of energy radiated throughout the space, with a determined gaze in Lu Shang's eyes. He focused again and struck, unleashing red energy from his body. Using his sword, Lan managed to block the assault, clenching his teeth and eyes widening in fear and astonishment. He couldn't believe he needed to summon all his strength just to halt him. He wondered, since when do star pirates have such a powerful member? A grimace appeared on his face. Lan clenched his teeth and looked down, thinking that, according to him, star space parasites had to be exterminated. With eyes blazing with resolve, he stared at Lu Shang, extended his hand, and began channeling his energy into the sword's blade. He focused on the floating rocks in outer space, which started to move. Lan stretched out his hand again, and a powerful surge of flesh-like energy erupted from it. Soon, the rocks approached him. Seeing this, Lu Shang clenched his teeth tightly, eyes widening with surprise and dread, sensing imminent danger. The rocks detonated, unleashing a massive explosion of martial energy that destroyed everything in its path, creating a cloud of smoke. Lu Shang emerged from the smoke, using his feet to stabilize himself. Despite the explosion's ferocity, he remained unscathed. With a curious expression, he observed his hands. Realizing this was the power of a level 11 warrior, true martial fighter, many times stronger than the star pirates he had previously defeated with a single blow. He was the most formidable opponent he had faced so far. The young man placed his hand on his chest, his attention fixed on Lan, his eyes shining with excitement. A smile spread across his face, making it clear that the insult parasite mattered little to him. Even if Lan was a level 11 warrior, if he destroyed others' property without cause, he'd also have to pay. Lu Shang closed his eyes, extended his hands, and concentrated, activating the martial god state. Moments later, a radiant, golden flash burst from his body. Lan's eyes widened in astonishment. He couldn't believe this was the power a level 9 should possess. To him, it was obvious his opponent was an overhuman being of an extremely high level. With his body engulfed in martial flames, Lu Shang clenched his fists and charged swiftly toward Lan. a look of exhilaration on his face, he decided it was time to invoke the martial god form. As Lu Shang moved closer, Lan gripped his sword tightly, cursing the star pirates. Both launched attacks, their energies colliding and creating a powerful shockwave. The duel was evenly matched. Meanwhile, elsewhere in the galaxy, a ship executed a space jump, emerging shortly after through a blue portal. Inside the spacecraft sat the guide Lanshin. He looked toward the ground and felt relieved to have arrived just in time. He swore to himself that next time, he would definitely switch to a level 11 ship. He remembered the ship agent from Star Z34548. Wai-san owed him a favor for 82 years, one that had yet to be repaid, so he figured he could get a good deal. Next to him stood Zolin, arms crossed, silent and lost in thought. He observed space and mentioned that the law officer of his star zone, White Mist, had not yet arrived. But apparently, the officer from Star Zone Yamu was already present. Hearing this, a joyful smile spread across Lanshin's face. He was now saved. Lanshin's ship traveled at high velocity through space. Soon after, another spaceship appeared ahead. His gaze fixed on it, and upon closer inspection, he recognized the maple leaf insignia indeed. It was the law enforcement vessel from the Yamu Star Zone. He rested his chin on his hand, sighed, and realized that this level 12 ship was probably beyond his means, even working his entire life, not counting all the favors he owed. With a calm expression, Yalan said that if he surpassed level 11 and was chosen as a law officer, he could also command such a ship. He chuckled, adding that perhaps his own ship might be even more luxurious. Lanshan lifted his head, a smile spreading across his face. Such a feat was even more unlikely than winning the grand prize in the stellar lottery. Suddenly, something caught their attention, freezing them in fear. Yalan went into shock, while Lanshan's eyes widened with confusion and amazement. Near the area where Lu Shang was fighting, a powerful purple martial flash appeared. Drawing their focus, Lanshan rose from his seat. Bewildered, his ship began to shake violently, and his eyes widened in surprise and terror. He realized that this fluctuation was, in fact, a battle between level 11 experts. The ship's system started analyzing, and after a few seconds, it displayed a scan showing the debris of the Demon Claw ship from the Crimson Eye Star pirate group. With a calm demeanor, Yalan remarked that the vessel had been completely obliterated, and it seemed the Crimson Eye pirates had indeed fallen. The battle was intense, with bodies releasing martial energies. Lu Shang and Lu Shang engaged in fierce combat. Zolin observed carefully, hypothesizing that the person fighting outside in the silver combat suit could be the justice officer of the Yamu Star Zone. Lu Shang moved swiftly, appearing in front of Lan. Seeing this, his eyes widened with surprise. Lan had no time to react. Lu Shang attacked with force, causing Lan's body to be thrown back with a look of shock. Yalan realized that the golden humanoid figure was not Crimson Eye, but was incredibly formidably its power, by no means inferior to that of the justice officer. In fact, it seemed to be surpassing him. This was terrifying and made him wonder if perhaps this being was also a star pirate. With eyes blazing with determination, Lan began to channel his energy into his sword, deciding it was time to end this battle. Just then, Lu Shang appeared again. Grabbing him by the head, panicking Lan couldn't help but scream. Lu Shang launched rapid, fierce punches to his chest, causing Lan to cry out in agony. Before long, Lan lost consciousness. His face bloodied and his eyes turned white. Lu Shang, sweating, let out a sigh. With a serious expression, he turned and examined Lanshan's spaceship. Seeing this, Lanshan's eyes widened in shock, realizing it was Lu Shang. With a nervous expression, he slapped himself. Yalan's gaze fixed on him with curiosity. He asked what he was doing. Lanshan approached Yalan, grabbed his hand, and asked him for a really strong slap. Suspecting he was dreaming, Jaolin, confused but sincere, looked at him. Lanshan examined his hand and said he was going crazy. Yalan focused his energy into his hand, then, without hesitation, delivered a powerful slap across Lanshan's face. The blow was so forceful that Lanshan's body flew back, crashing into the wall. Tears filled his eyes. He touched his cheek, and Yalan waved his hands dismissively, making it clear that it was Lanshan himself who had asked for the slap, admitting he'd never heard such a request before. Lanshan cracked his neck, eyes furious. He called Yalan a bastard, shouting that he told him to make it strong but not to use all his strength. He accused him of even using a level 10 martial technique. He tapped the spaceship window and decided to forget about it. He wasn't going to argue over such details. He then pointed at Lu Shang with his finger and, with a serious gaze, asked if he believed that the fighter against the justice officer was in fact Lu Shang. Hearing this, Yalan's eyes widened with shock and fear, leaving him stunned. This is it for this chapter. We'll upload as soon as the new chapter is released. Subscribe.